Our top focus this news wheel, the self-immolation by a 20-year-old college student for allegedly being denied justice over sexual harassment in Odisha's Balasore district has triggered a statewide outrage. This just passed this weekend on Sunday, with the opposition parties now staging protests demanding the resignation of the state higher education minister. However, the college girl was battling for her life with 95% burns at the AIIMS Bhubaneswar, according to officials. And amidst the protest on the Balasore incident, which came to light days after the gang rape of another college girl in Gopalpur beach, Odisha Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi went to AIIMS Bhubaneswar after returning from a 3-day visit to the national capital. Odisha student continues to battle for her life. Her situation is critical, but at this point in time, doctors say the road to recovery might have begun. Continuous treatment, meanwhile, continues for the student that is suffering with 95% burn marks. A self-immolation bid by the 20-year-old student. Some reactions coming your way as well.
Patient is critical, patient is in life support and mechanical ventilator. And 24 hours, we have, starting from the initial day, we are giving these 3 ionotropes at the high pressure level. With this, only the blood pressure we are able to maintain. But 3 ionotropes is going on, so patient is critical.
I just want to question to the state government that it is high time you get up from your sleep. You have been completely deflecting the criticism, deflecting the allegations that is being levied on the state government time and again. This girl, this innocent girl has been raising the complaint time and again. On 1st July, she has given a written complaint to the committee as well. She has also tagged the Honorable Chief Minister, lot of handles on the Twitter, expecting a reply because these handles have always been active. Despite trying and giving her best effort, her family members were also invited to be for a discussion in the committee, but there was not a ray of hope, and the state government has failed her, the authorities have failed.
कल्प्रिट जो असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर था एचओडी एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट में, इसको तो पुलिस पकड़ के ले गया है। नहीं, वो दिखाने के लिए नहीं जाना चाहिए। ऐसी कई कड़ी सजा इनको मिलना चाहिए और नजीर हो जाएगा उड़ीसा के सारे देश में। और वो जो प्रिंसिपल है वो बहुत श्रूड आदमी है, वो बहुत मीठी मीठी बात बोलता है। हमको ऐसे वो बताया जैसे कुछ नहीं हुआ, हम ठीक कर देंगे, हमारा ट्रस्ट दीजिए, सब कुछ ऐसे बताया। वो बहुत श्रूड आदमी है।
यही मांग है, जो प्रक्रिया चल रहा है वो इन्वेस्टिगेशन का प्रक्रिया चल रहा है, मैं तो देख रहा हूँ तो थोड़ा फास्ट चल रहा है, लेकिन उसको डीप तक लेके जाइए। उसका डीप तक जो एक विक्टिम, जो कल्प्रिट है, उनको आप पकड़िए, उनको बातचीत कीजिए, पूछिए क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ था। जो नेक्स्ट टाइम अगर ये तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते हम, नेक्स्ट टाइम कोई बहन कोई बेटी के साथ ऐसा ना हो, यही मेरा दरखास्त है
कि राज्य सरकार ने बहुत स्पष्ट शुरू से ही इस घटना में बड़ा स्पष्ट किया है, किसी को भी छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा। कुछ कार्रवाई हुई है और आने वाले दिनों में निश्चित रूप में कार्रवाई और कठोर होगा। उसकी जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एस्पेक्ट है, उसकी जो लीगल एस्पेक्ट है, दोनों में जो कमेटी राज्य सरकार ने बनाई है, वहाँ जो मैंने कल डीजी साहब से भी जानकारी लिया, पुलिस अपना काम कर रही है, किसी को भी छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा। इसमें से कोई भी दोषी, कुछ लोगों को तो प्रारंभिक कार्रवाई हुई है, लेकिन उसकी पूरे घटना को जो जिसकी जवाबदेही है उसको उत्तर देना पड़ेगा, उसको फिक्स किया जाएगा। एवरीबडी विल बी अकाउंटेबल टू द सिस्टम एंड लॉ, किसी को छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा।
Meanwhile, fire broke out in the Hisar Express. This happened near Tirupati. No casualties have been reported, fortunately, but panic gripped passengers near Tirupati after a fire broke out in the stationary coaches of the Hisar Express and the Rayalasima Express. This at the Tirupati railway station yard. Visuals on your screens. And the flames spread quickly to the 2 coaches of each train, but swift action by the railway staff helped detach the remaining coaches, preventing further damage. Some of those coaches completely left gutted, like you can see for yourselves. And fire tenders rushed to the spot. Firefighting operations, they're still underway. A Vande Bharat train passing on a parallel track was also stopped in time, avoiding a major accident. The railway officials confirmed that no casualties have been reported so far. Investigations are on to determine and ascertain the cause of the fire as well. Fire in the Hisar Express near Tirupati, the station yard of the Tirupati railway station. You have the Hisar Express, you also have the Rayalaseema Express. Coaches of both these trains affected due to this fire incident. And what's more is that swift action by the railway authorities and the officials present at the spot. A Vande Bharat train running on a parallel gauge and track was stopped just in time to avoid any further damage in this case. Some political developments coming your way. Congress MLA Ravi Kumar Gowda has thrown his weight behind Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar, expressing confidence that he will eventually become the Chief Minister of the state of Karnataka. Now, speaking to reporters, Gowda said D.K. Shivkumar will become Chief Minister when the time comes. Listen in to what the MLA had to say. And even as we're going to play that reaction for you, his comments come amid growing speculation over potential leadership change. With the man on your screens, you've got Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar, the leadership fissures that have now come out in the open. People can't stop talking about it. The party currently maintains that there is going to be no change in leadership. There is no leadership change on the card. But voices like Gowda's suggest that internal discussions may be quietly gaining momentum. Well, or not. It's all about speculation right now coming from the state of Karnataka. Just a couple of days back, you had Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, who had made it categorically clear that no leadership change talks are on the cards. Nothing of that sort has happened with the party high command. My colleague Mohammad Wajiullah joins us on the broadcast here. Waji, before we play out Gowda's reaction, coming across to you first. Earlier, Siddaramaiah had sort of made it look like things were okay. Dispelling all those myths and accusations about leadership change. But now Gowda's statements has again reignited that talk. Just a couple of days back, D.K. Shivkumar, addressing an event of the legal fraternity, had said, we're all in this race to fight for the chair. If you see a chair empty, you sit down and you make sure that you're the first one to sit down on it. What's really happening in Karnataka vis-a-vis the leadership change?
Well, right now in Karnataka, we are only seeing MLAs speaking out of aspirations. And this particular MLA also has reiterated what a lot of MLAs have been saying. But the caveat in his bite is that he has said when the time is right. Therefore, there is no sudden demand for a change of chief minister. And that is something that has to be seen here. And from what we've also learned is that all the members in the Congress somewhere or the other believe that there could be a change, but that change is not going to happen today or in the coming days. It may happen after the next election, and that is what even Ramlinga Reddy, who is the cabinet minister, spoke to me today in a conversation which we had during an event. And there also in his bite, he's clearly told me that Siddaramaiah is going to be the chief minister. There is not going to be any change. There is no horse trading that is happening. No MLAs are leaving the ship. And he categorically denied all those rumors about that there is going to be a change in CM. He in fact took a dig at me saying that it's the media creation. And that is when I responded saying to him that it's your MLAs who are time and again coming out and saying that there will be a change here. It's only after that can the media speak about it, for which he laughed and he said, but there is not going to be any change. Now, Ravi Kumar Gowda has also expressed his opinion, which like him, there are other MLAs who have also expressed their opinion for D.K. Shivkumar. We've seen Iqbal Hussain a few days back saying the same thing. So you have ministers coming out now. Randeep Surjewala is also in town, and he also sat with D.K. Shivkumar, did a press conference, and was the voice of the High Command, and he said that there is not going to be any change.
What's interesting, Vaji, what's interesting right now is that this is coming on a day when already the Congress party is, up in arms against the centre vis-a-vis the Gadkari versus Siddaramaiah fight that has now come to light, and on a day when the entire party should be showing, their collective unity. Again, the leadership change buzz is now making rounds. We're going to play out that bite from Mr. Gowda, but again, D.K. Shivkumar is somebody that we know who knows and understands the nitty-gritties of resort politics, and Gowda now saying the timing is right. when the timing is right. One can only, ask questions whether DK Shiv Kumar is trying to mount up, a rebellion or not. Well, only time will tell. But let's listen into what Mr. Gowda had to say.
ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಶಾಸಕರು ಯಾರು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಪ್ಪ, ಬಸ್ಗೆ ನಿನ್ನಗೆ ಓಡಾಡಕ್ ದುಡ್ಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ದಿರೋರು ಮನೇಲಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಈ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿರಿಯಾನಿ ತಿನ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಕ್ಕಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ದಿರೋರು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಊಟನ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಪಕ್ಷ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಈ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳು ದುಡ್ಡಿರೋರ್ಗಲ್ಲ, ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ದಿರುವಂತ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. 2,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ನಾವು ತಿಂಗಳ ಹಾಕೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನೀವೇ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಟಿವಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದೀರಾ, ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು, ಟಿವಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು, ಮಗಳು ಫೀಸ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಶಾಲೆಗೆ ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅನ್ನೋ ಇದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದೀವಿ. ದುಡ್ಡಿರೋರು ನಮ್ಮ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಉಡಾಫೆ ಮಾತುಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ದಿರೋ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ಅದು ಅಮೃತ, ಅಂತವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಯೋಜನೆಯನ್ನ ತಂದಿದೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಈ ಯೋಜನೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡೋರ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಈ ಯೋಜನೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಮಹಿಳೆಯರಿಗೂ, ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಯಾರು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಓಡಾಡಬಹುದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು, ಟೀಕೆ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ದುಡ್ಡಿಲ್ದಿರೋರು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ಮನೇಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇದು ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಯಾರು ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ನಾವೇನು ಆತರ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಟಿವಿ ಅವರು ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದವರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು ಟಿವಿ ಅವರು ಮತ್ತೆ ವಿರೋಧ ಪಕ್ಷದವರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಹೇಳೋದು. ನಾವ್ಯಾರು ನಾಳೆನೂ 3 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿದು ನಾನು ಭೂಮಿ ಪೂಜೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಇನ್ನ
Well, moving on, and we need Mohammad Vajiullah's inputs. He continues to be with us on the broadcast here. Another story that we're tracking from Karnataka. Lingaraj Kanni, the Kalaburagi South Block Congress president, he's been expelled from the party. And this move comes after he was arrested by the Kalyan police in Thane for alleged drug possession. Kalaburagi District Congress President Jagadev Guttedar issued a letter announcing Kanni's expulsion from the party's primary membership. Kanni was allegedly involved in the sale of narcotics, prompting immediate disciplinary action. Kalyan police has also seized 120 bottles of banned codeine syrup from his possession. My colleague Mohammad Vajiullah continues to be with us on the broadcast. Vaji, Kanni, he's been expelled from the South Block Congress president's post, is what we're learning. Well, shifting our focus here, because Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla, his homecoming journey, well, it certainly is about to begin shortly. The undocking process from the Harmony module of the International Space Station, where Axiom 4 crew are finally going to undock from the International Space Station, and their splashdown is expected on the 15th of July at 3 p.m. Indian Standard Time. That's how the splashdown is essentially going to look like. Realizing the return is what that promo actually tells us about. That's some of the visuals of how the Axiom 4 crew got inside the Dragon capsule.
Axiom Mission 4
the hatch closing process was completed about an hour ago. Pressurization formalities must have taken place next. The undocking also happens from 12 different latches. 12 latches will have to unlatch themselves, unhook themselves from the International Space Station, and the journey back home is going to begin for Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 others. Of course, the mission lead, Peggy Whitson, somebody who's a veteran when it comes to travels and jaunts to the International Space Station. Courtesy NASA, SpaceX and Axiom, we're bringing you live coverage of the undocking of the Axiom 4 crew from the International Space Station.
Space Station, the camera pointing towards the...
Shubhanshu Shukla also sent that emotional farewell message from the International Space Station just days before returning to Earth. In his final address during the Axiom 4 AX4 farewell ceremony, Shubhanshu Shukla, call sign Shuks, revived the patriotic line Sare Jahan Se Accha, made famous by Rakesh Sharma, somebody who he himself idolized. Rakesh Sharma said the same during his first space mission in 1984, and after about more than 4 decades later, you have an Indian, not just in space again, but the first Indian on the International Space Station. Take a look at that. That's the mission pilot, Shubhanshu Shukla, an Indian, leading the mission right up there to the International Space Station, and is now going to solely bring them back home. Shukla also thanked ISRO, Axiom Space, NASA, SpaceX. This is a global collaboration, needless to speak of, when you're talking about all the experimentation that was carried out on the International Space Station. India and ISRO leading the charge. Shubhanshu Shukla earlier thanked all the global collaborators for making the mission possible, and of course praised the support of students and researchers from India who contributed to the scientific work on board. Stem cell acceleration and repair work that was carried out by ISRO. Visuals of when they entered, how the docking process was carried out, a little bit of a nostalgic
sharing their stories with groups around the
world,
making such an impact for their respective countries from space. Now, speaking for the Axiom Space teams, we could not be more proud of this crew and everything that they've accomplished. So there are certainly a lot of hugs and handshakes waiting for them when they get home, as well as some well-deserved rest. But before that happens, we get to share their journey back to Earth with all of you, starting right now.
Now, ahead of departure, our teams look at a number of weather items. Some of the obvious ones are no rain or chance of lightning in the recovery zone, both for the safety of the crew inside the spacecraft and the recovery teams on the water. Now, we're also looking for wind speeds less than 10 miles per hour and relatively calm seas so that we can safely perform recovery operations, which includes landing a helicopter on the recovery ship to fly the crew back to shore. Now, once Dragon departs station, the crew's flight home is expected to last approximately 22.5 hours. Dragon will also execute a phasing burn to lower its orbit and line the spacecraft up with its landing locations. These 4 departure burns will gradually increase the distance between the spacecraft and the space station. Dragon will also execute a phasing burn to lower its orbit and line the spacecraft up with its targeted landing location. Then the action starts to pick up pace with trunk separation, closure of the nose cone, a deorbit burn, re-entry, deployment of the drogue and main parachutes, and then finally splashdown off the coast of California. The crew will then get picked up at sea by one of SpaceX's recovery vessels.
And at that point, the Axiom 4 crew will undergo their first medical checks while aboard the recovery vessel before flying on that helicopter back to land. And from there, the crew will be flown to Houston, Texas, where they'll be reunited with their teams. And this welcome home moment, in many ways, will mark the conclusion of the operational phases of this mission.
And guiding us through the action today as Dragon departs station is Anna Schneider with NASA Communications at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. How's it going, Anna?
Hey, Jesse and John, it's good to be with both of you, and welcome to Mission Control Houston at NASA's Johnson Space Center. We're currently live in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers are being led by NASA Flight Director Allison Bollinger. Earlier this morning, we brought you live coverage of hatch closure, during which the Axiom Mission 4 crew suited up, re-entered Dragon, and closed the hatch between the International Space Station and the Dragon spacecraft. That hatch closure took place at 4:07 a.m. Central, 5:07 a.m. Eastern. Since that time, the process to depressurize the area between the Dragon hatch and the APAS hatch on station known as the vestibule took place and was recently completed. And now we're waiting undocking in just a little bit, and we will be looking ahead to the go, no-go poll for undocking here in just a few minutes, around 5:50 a.m. Central, 6:50 a.m. Eastern. This final go, no-go poll is where the joint SpaceX and NASA teams make their final call for Dragon to depart the space station. This is one of many checkpoints in that return that will continue all the way up until just before the deorbit burn, giving mission managers multiple chances to assess the weather at the splashdown zones and make sure everything is looking good before Dragon departs. The Axiom Mission 4 crew members, Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla, Sławosz Uznański-Wisniewski, and Tibor Kapu are now suited up and standing by for undocking to begin their journey back home to Earth. So again, we'll continue to stand by for that final go, no-go poll in just a couple of minutes, but for now, everything continuing to look good for today's undocking and departure of Axiom Mission 4.
unlocking process is going to soon begin. Everything seems fit and fine. All the checks have been completed. The hatches are closed. This is the Dragon capsule that you see.
Separation
stuck.
today is set for approximately 6:05 a.m. Central, 7:05 a.m. Eastern, in just about 13 minutes from now. At the moment, Dragon is in its final configuration before undocking, and again, we are waiting for flight controllers here in Mission Control Houston, along with the SpaceX flight control team in Hawthorne, California, to conduct their final go-no-go poll on whether to move forward with the undocking procedure. Now, just like during its approach to the International Space Station, Dragon's departure in deorbit is designed to be fully autonomous, requiring no action from the crew on board. The undock command will be sent at 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern to begin that autonomous sequence. The first step in the automatic undocking sequence is for the umbilicals to retract. These umbilicals connect Dragon systems to the space station, transferring power, telemetry, and commands between the two vehicles throughout Dragon's stay. Once that's complete, Dragon will unlatch itself from the space station by releasing the 12 hard capture hooks in 2 separate phases. All of that combined will take roughly 4.5 minutes, and then Dragon will be ready to depart from the space station and begin to push itself further and further away using its thrusters.
Their own time, 7:05 a.m. Eastern time. That's about 4:35 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Joining me here on the broadcast is Ravi Gupta, former director at DRDO. Very warm welcome to you, Mr. Gupta. First and foremost, it seems like, as far as the visuals are telling us, that the Dragon capsule looks fit and fine in the pink of its health. The hatches have been closed down. The process is going to be absolutely automatic. It's going to be fully autonomous. The hard capture hooks, 12 of those, that are going to very slowly and softly push itself, firstly unclasp, unhook themselves, and then push itself away from the Harmony module of the International Space Station with its own thrusters. And that's how the undocking and the departure towards Earth is going to begin. And Shubhanshu Shukla, the pilot of this mission, has also carried out 6 very important ISRO-led experiments on the International Space Station. He is going to be guiding and steering the Dragon capsule back home. Ravi Gupta, former director DRDO, with us. Mr. Gupta, everything looks absolutely fine right now. What are some things that the astronauts on board the International Space Station and the ground team here in Houston is going to be very meticulously looking at right now? The 12 hooks for that hard capture, they're going to completely unclasp, and then the thrusters come into action. What are we missing here? Is everything okay, good to go?
Yes, definitely. As far as I can understand, things are very well checked in. Everything seems to be fine and okay, and we are just waiting for the undocking to take place.
In terms of all the experiments that were carried out here, because it's going to be great advancements for the global space community, one thing that the Axiom 4 mission highlighted was that this is not going to be a Hungary-based module. This is not going to be a US-based NASA mission. This is not going to be an ISRO-based mission. This is a global mission that Axiom is carrying out in collaboration with SpaceX. Of course, you had NASA. It got stuck in the US portion of the International Space Station, which has the Harmony module. But when we bring all of that data back, it's going to help the entire global space community for future flight paths, isn't it?
Definitely. See, this kind of a international collaboration is the best example of international collaboration that we as a human race, we are looking forward to improve our lives better. The science, using the science for the benefit of entire humankind, and not just particular one nation or 2 nations or a particular group of nations. So from that point of view, this is a landmark event which is going to take place now. It is right, I will say, coming to an end. To an end and marking the beginning, a new beginning in international cooperation. And see, the space, it is a frontier with no boundaries. There is no end to the limit. What we can explore, where we can go. It's a unbound and unlimited kind of a resources, and the knowledge to be explored is unlimited. So we have just made a beginning. With this kind of thing, we have come a long way when the world started exploring the space. And on our part in India, when we just started exploring space with the sounding rockets, but from that point of view, onwards, we have come a long way. We are going to send our own this Gaganyaan mission very soon. Those things are moving on almost as
And
expected,
Shubhanshu
as
Shukla is going to be
scheduled.
playing that important role when it comes to the Gaganyaan mission. I mean, already the
Very, very,
PSLV is
yes.
the taxi rocket for the entire world. We do it better and cheaper than anybody else on this planet, which is why PSLV is the space Uber, if I could put it that way, Mr. Gupta. But Shubhanshu Shukla, you know what he must have learned up there and how important he's going to be for the next upcoming ISRO's Gaganyaan mission, the man-moon mission. That's going to be absolutely impeccable. His own insights and what he's learned. We're going to continuously keep chatting with Mr. Gupta, former director at DRDO. He continues to be with us, but simultaneously also dipping into what we can pick up in terms of live commentary from Houston ground control, and if we get visuals of the Dragon capsule from up there, right outside the Harmony module of the International Space Station.
To bring the vestibule down to vacuum in preparation of Dragon's departure, and then a series of leak checks were conducted. During the hatch close operations earlier this morning, the teams also configured what is known as the Big Loop, and this is an integrated communications loop with NASA's Mission Control team here in Houston, along with SpaceX's Mission Control team in Hawthorne, the crew on board the International Space Station, and the Axiom Mission 4 crew currently inside the Dragon Grace spacecraft. This big loop allows for fully integrated communications with Dragon as the crew undocks and makes its way back to Earth. Again, we're targeting that undocking to take place at 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern, with the undock command sent 5 minutes before that at 6:10 a.m. Central, 7:10 a.m. Eastern.
Timing 7:15 a.m. Eastern time, that loosely converts to 4:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So about 15 minutes from now, when the final approval and the nod is going to be given to the Grace Dragon capsule. They've named it Grace this time. It's the Dragon capsule of the SpaceX mission. It's called the Axiom 4 mission, and the Axiom 4 crew with Shubhanshu Shukla, Peggy Whitson. You've got astronauts from Poland and Hungary on board the Axiom 4 crew as well. Mission specialists that were part of this particular team, bringing us very, very valuable research data back home as well. Mr. Gupta continues to be with us on the broadcast here. Mr. Gupta, were you keeping a tab, keeping a check? We've got some of those latest visuals from inside the Dragon capsule now as well. Mr. Gupta, were you keeping a check and a tab on the kind of experiments that were being carried out? This was not a very lengthy stay on the International Space Station. It was just about a fortnight, 14 days, but a lot of experiments to carry out. Were you keeping a tab on what Shubhanshu Shukla and team were doing up there?
Yes, to a limited extent. Yes, to some extent, I was keeping track of the experiments which are being carried out, and these experiments are extremely important from the point of view of extended stay of human beings in space. We all know that the stay in space is not kind of a very comfortable position, in the sense that the radiation is very extreme. The human body is normally tuned to a kind of a certain level of gravitational force right from the time we are born, and even before that. So what happens when we enter the environment of microgravity is that the entire body clock, has to be reset, and it takes a long time, and it simultaneously affects our entire body system, not just the body clock, including the way our muscles, continue to process the whatever food we are taking, the way they produce energy, the way the muscles keep building up themselves, everything gets affected. The vital organs get affected. So apart from that, there is a strong radiation. So these experiments which Shubhanshu Shukla is going to carry out, and he carried out in these last 15 days, they are on one part of it is to explore what goes, how can we make the human body sustain those environment of microgravity. That is one aspect. Second aspect is that if we have to extend our stay in the space, what we are going to do, how we will survive. Oxygen is required, the what you call the food is required on a long-term basis. So from where do we get it? So like that, take for example the kind of this algae and certain other microorganisms which Shukla has carried out, has studied. These will provide perhaps a long-term solution to our food requirements, at the same time also the oxygen requirements, because these are the microorganisms which are able to survive for a long time in a radiation environment, and even in an environment when there is a little dryness. Similarly, there is another microorganism which is known to survive even in near vacuum. And those microorganisms, now what the Shubhanshu Shukla has been doing in space is to study how these microorganisms are able to survive such a harsh environment of very limited moisture or very limited oxygen and kind of almost a vacuum environment. So that is another aspect. This will throw light on how we can tune our body, what we can do, what are the mechanisms, how that particular microorganism is able to survive, and what we can do to our body to when we go for months and months together into space. So that way, these are some of the few examples I have quoted. There are total 7 experiments which were to be carried out there. Another kind of a set of experiment is how do we interact with the electronic displays. Now I'm sitting in front of you before my laptop, and I know that what is up and what is down, and what is left and what is right. But when we are in the microgravity environment, that concept, that mental tuning of the direction is quite
pertinent points. You're absolutely right, Mr. Gupta. All of that has to take a little bit of recalibration. And I was thinking to myself, maybe 14 days was more detrimental. If you were to spend about 6 months or 4 months aboard the International Space Station, you'd give your body better time to, recalculate its own circadian rhythm. But now, to go up there, quickly recalibrate with microgravity, and 14 days later to come back to Earth is going to be a tough task for all these 4 crew members. But needless to say, they've been trained with that as well. Let's dip into what Houston Ground Control is telling the Grace Dragon capsule up there.
Vehicles when they are arriving and departing from the orbiting laboratory.
It is going to be a fully autonomous procedure, the undocking and the departure thrusters. But still, you can see so many of those screens, so many of gizmo and gadgets.
New undocking command time.
Shubhanshu Shukla continuously working on the pad that's stuck to his thigh, because that's how the structure of the Dragon capsule is designed, for these astronauts to have their tablet on their thigh. It's stuck there to their spacesuits with a Velcro.
Scheduled for 6:15 a.m. Central, 7:15 a.m. Eastern.
7:15 a.m. Eastern Time, that's about 4:45 p.m. Indian Standard Time is when the undocking process will begin. Live coverage continues here on News 9, all thanks to and courtesy NASA, Axiom Space, and SpaceX.
Dragon's departure and deorbit is fully autonomous, requiring no action from the crew on board. Once the undock command is sent in just about 4 minutes from now, that will begin that autonomous sequence, and the first step is for the umbilicals to retract. That will be followed by the hooks opening. There are 12 total hooks. Those will open in 2 separate phases of 6, and then we will have that physical separation following 2 short undock burns.
Process, but needless to say, has to be meticulously carried out. Mr. Gupta, it is a fully autonomous process. The crew doesn't really have to do anything per se, apart from probably pressing a button, which, by the way, could very well be controlled by the ground control as well. But still, what can go wrong here? How meticulously does this process need to be carried out? Because we're talking about 2 different sets of 6 hooks that will unclasp itself from the International Space Station. Then you've got 2 very calculated thrusts that are going to be deployed for it to move away. The physical separation is going to take place. I mean, I don't want to jinx the entire process, but what might or could go wrong, because this is a fully automatic process, but still so much of science that's involved.
Yes, definitely. See, from now onwards till the time the Captain Shukla returns to Earth, there are two very, very crucial moments, very critical moments. One is the undocking. When the module is undocking from the main space station, both the vehicles, the space station as well as the module, they are at a grave risk. Any slight miscalculation, any slight extra thrust or less thrust, it is going to create havoc. Uh, because you just imagine that the two things are moving at a fantastic speed of something like 28,000 kilometers per hour. And at that speed, when they have to separate out, they have to separate very, very gently without affecting each other in any way. So that requires very precise control of those micro thrusters, which will separate them from each other. And once they are separated, then they have to slowly move away. I mean, it's not that just I just separate out and like a kind of I start my car and just start moving on the road. It is not like that. So any wrong move, what it can do, I think it is very difficult to predict. There are so many things which can go wrong. They can collide with each other, they can hit each other, damage each other. Besides, if any thruster is, the thruster provides a direction in which it has to move. And a wrong direction means that you have to spend extra fuel to come back to your destined path. So that way, I would say this is a very crucial moment. The second crucial moment will be when this module re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. So as we know that the where these people are there in the space at the moment, the air is almost not non-existent. I won't say it is a complete vacuum, but yes, it is non-existent. It's not able to cause where too much of kind of a drag or resistance. But as it moves towards the Earth, at one point of time, we are going to enter the Earth's atmosphere, and air begin to exert its influence on the surface of the spacecraft. There is friction, and because of the friction, the temperature of the surface of the aircraft starts going up very rapidly. Up to what extent it will go, it all depends upon the rate of descent. If it is a free fall, the temperatures may shoot up to something like 5,000 to 6,000 degrees Celsius, where no material can stand it. Like as in the case of the typical ICBMs, when they are re-entering, it's more or less a free fall, and the skin temperature shoots up to 5,000 to 6,000 degrees centigrade. But in this case, it is a controlled descent. And controlled descent means you have to switch on the thrusters in the opposite direction and gradually bring the aircraft to the desired, maintain the spacecraft at a desired rate of descent so that the rise in temperature is not too high. So that is the reason why we are taking so much time, separation, and then coming to a point which is best calculated, best suited for the re-entry, and then slowly reducing the descent, and at a certain point of time, the speed has to be further reduced with the help of the parachutes. So
Important points. Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Mr. Gupta, let's quickly listen in to what the Houston ground control here is saying. My apologies for interjecting. It seems like we're coming real close to that final approval coming from the ground control, whether to go through with this undocking or not. It all seems fine as of now. About a couple of minutes left, just a few minutes, and we'll see the Dragon Grace capsule undock itself from the International Space Station. Today, camera work is so sublime, Mr. Gupta, isn't it? I mean, I'm excited here, and we've come a long way, haven't we? It's a comfortable journey up there. It's a comfortable journey back home. Shubhanshu Shukla slept most of his time on that particular journey, and it being a fully automated process, I think that's going to happen on the way back as well. Here's the ground control on your screens. Listen in.